Welcome back to ActioFin. The annual budget from episode 3 has a weakness. It is a single bet placed once a year, and the world rarely cooperates. By spring, the assumptions are stale, yet teams keep chasing a number that no longer makes sense. This episode covers the modern answer, rolling forecasts, and the beyond budgeting movement. Planning that updates continuously and stays useful all year. Our plan: why the fixed annual budget breaks down. What a rolling forecast actually is and how it differs. Driver-based forecasting, which makes updates fast. The core ideas of beyond budgeting, separating targets from forecasts and resources. A worked example with a software company. And the takeaways. Start with why the annual budget breaks. It assumes you can forecast a full year accurately from a December standpoint. Then locks that forecast as both the target and the resource plan. When reality shifts in March, a new competitor, a supply shock, a fast-growing product, the budget does not move. So managers either defend an obsolete plan or quietly ignore it, sandbagging next year in revenge. The tool meant to coordinate the business starts to distort it. The annual budget does not only go stale, it actively warps behavior, and that is the deeper case against it. Think of the familiar habits. Spend it or lose it, departments burning the budget in December so it is not cut next year. The hockey stick, deals shoved into the final weeks to hit an annual number. Sandbagging, managers lowballing next year's target so it is easy to beat. Each is a rational response to a system that ties one fixed number to pay, status and resources. The point of beyond budgeting is not just more frequent numbers, it is removing the incentives that make smart people behave wastefully. Fix the system and the behavior follows. A rolling forecast solves the staleness. Instead of one annual plan that shrinks as the year passes, you reforecast on a regular cadence. Usually each quarter or month, and add a fresh period on the end. The result is that you always look the same distance ahead, perhaps 12 to 18 months, no matter the calendar date. In December, a fixed budget shows you 1 month ahead, a rolling forecast still shows a full year and a half. Decisions get a steady horizon instead of a cliff edge. For rolling forecasts to be practical, they must be quick, and that means driver-based. Instead of rekeying hundreds of ledger lines every quarter, you build the forecast on a handful of business drivers: new customers, churn rate, average price, headcount. The detailed financials are calculated from those drivers. When you reforecast, you adjust a few assumptions and the model cascades the rest. Reforecasting drops from a 3-week ordeal to an afternoon, which is the only reason teams will actually do it often. Rolling forecasts pair naturally with scenario planning, and the combination is powerful. Rather than betting on one precise number, you model 2 or 3 futures, a base case, an upside, and a downside. For each, you work out what you would do: hire, pause, cut, invest, and crucially, you pre-agree the trigger that tells you which world you are in. Such as orders crossing a threshold for 2 months running. Then when reality moves, you are not arguing from scratch in a crisis, you are executing a decision you already thought through calmly. Forecasting a range instead of a point, and rehearsing the responses, is how good controllers turn uncertainty from a threat into a plan. Be clear about where the value actually lands. It is not in the spreadsheet, it is in the conversation the spreadsheet forces. A rolling forecast only works if it feeds a regular business review. A monthly or quarterly meeting where leaders sit with the fresh numbers, confront what changed, and redecide on resources and priorities. Without that ritual, you have simply automated data entry, and the forecast updates itself into a void. So when you set up rolling forecasts, design the meeting first and the model second. The cadence of decision-making, not the elegance of the model, is what keeps the business steering instead of drifting. Beyond budgeting goes one step further. Its key move is to stop forcing one number to be three things at once. In a traditional budget, the same figure is the target, the forecast, and the resource limit, which is why managers game it. Beyond budgeting separates them. Targets become ambitious and often relative, like beating the market or a peer group. Forecasts become honest, unbiased expectations with no incentive to distort. And resources are released on demand against need, rather than locked in a year ahead. Remove the conflict and the gaming largely disappears. Take Aria Software. In December it budgeted modest, steady growth and fixed the headcount plan. In February one of its products went unexpectedly viral and demand tripled. Under the old budget there was no approved headcount to handle it, and the annual plan said hold spending. By the time a budget revision could be argued through, the moment and many customers would be gone. The fixed budget had turned a great problem into a missed opportunity. After adopting rolling forecasts, Aria planned differently. It reforecast every quarter on 6 drivers: sign-ups, churn, average revenue per user and a few others. When the surge hit, the next reforecast captured it within weeks, and because resources were released on demand. Hiring was approved in about 3 weeks rather than waiting for next year. Aria captured roughly 40% more revenue than the frozen plan would have allowed. Same company, same talent, a planning system that could move. 3 mistakes. First, making the rolling forecast as detailed as the old budget, so it is too slow to maintain and quietly dies. Keep it lean and driver-based. Second, letting the forecast double as the target, which reintroduces the bias you were trying to remove. Third, reforecasting that triggers no decisions. If nothing about resources or actions ever changes as a result, you have just added administration. The point of forecasting more often is to decide more often. Beyond budgeting also rethinks the target itself. A fixed annual number is arbitrary. Hit it easily in a booming market and you look like a hero for riding a wave. Miss it in a downturn and you are punished for weather you did not control. Relative targets fix this. Aim to grow faster than your sector, to gain market share, or to land in the top quartile of a peer group. These stay meaningful whatever the economy does, because they measure performance against the same conditions everyone faced. Relative goals are harder to game and fairer to judge, and they keep ambition alive in good times and bad alike. If a full beyond budgeting transformation sounds daunting, start small, because the habit matters more than the tooling. Keep your annual budget for now, but add one light, driver-based reforecast each quarter. Built on a handful of assumptions and reviewed by the leadership team. The first time a reforecast changes a real decision, approving a hire. Pausing a project, people feel the value, and the practice spreads on its own. Many companies that now run sophisticated rolling forecasts began with exactly this. One extra forecast, for times a year, that someone actually acted on. Evolution beats revolution here. To recap, a fixed annual budget goes stale within months in any fast-moving business. Rolling forecasts keep a constant horizon ahead of you all year. Build them on a few drivers so reforecasting is fast enough to actually happen. And follow beyond budgeting's core principle, stop forcing one number to be target, forecast and resource limit at once. Plan continuously, and the plan stays worth believing. In our final episode, management control meets the biggest new reporting demand in a generation, Sustainability. Episode 7 covers ESG controlling and the European CSRD directive. Measuring and steering non-financial performance with the same rigor as the financials. The full course is on ActioFin.com. See you in episode 7.